Welcome to the Laurent Collective podcast, where we go deeper than just surface talk.
Each week, we'll explore everything from family, business, creativity, culture, and faith.
To make sure not to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe and hop on to Instagram at Laurent Collective to chat with us about this episode.
Hello.
Hello.
We are coming to you and we are going to talk about Christmas again.
Yes.
Christmas in October. It's a thing. At least it's a thing here. Maybe.
I mean, what's weird is, right, Christmas starts here the first weekend of November because we don't have Thanksgiving here in England.
Yeah. Well,
obviously.
It's not like in the States. Like, they probably don't.
Well,
I mean,
I
legit
know.
have
but
Christmas stuff out
But we
right
have
now.
like lighting of the
Yes, true.
Christmas trees and lights outside and on
Yes,
the streets.
it
and stuff
feels like
that.
that's
There's
an official start
There's
of the
lighting
season.
ceremonies when that happens. So yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why we're talking about Christmas again, we already did talk about Christmas and how to prepare your business for it, but now we thought we'd talk a bit about like how to just why can't I say that word? Prepare your family for it too, because let's just be real, ends up being really busy and you end up stressed and stuff like that, and then often like these dreams and ideals you had of, you know, what you want it to look like with your family don't happen. Yes, we are recognizing that last year was very different because of COVID.
And we still don't know what this year's going to look like.
We don't know what
for
this
sure.
year will look like. Even though it was different last year, it still felt like, how do we take time during this weird season of like, maybe you weren't able to be with family last year. I mean, here in the UK, we had rules that you couldn't be with other families and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we still needed to find ways to make it a season to just like stop a little bit and reflect. And so we definitely realized this. We had our first child, Zane, who is now 14. And he, you know, when he was young, when I say young, I mean like he wasn't even 1 yet when it was his first Christmas. And then the second time around, he was barely 2. And so, you know, we did all kind of the crazy Christmas stuff. Like we even, I mean, nothing against people who take their kids to go see Santa.
Yeah.
Like we did that
We
and
did
everything. And then after a couple
we
years
realized
of
we're
it, I was
"That's kinda
like,
weird."
this is kind of weird. I'm setting him on a stranger's lap and stuff. And he, I mean, the pictures we have of him, he looks horrified.
Yeah.
Of whoever's in the Santa. He did not know what it was.
Well, and the whole Santa thing, at least for us,
we've changed. Yeah, we have thoughts on it, but that's a whole nother conversation. But so, you know, we did all that stuff and we just would get to the end, you know, New Year's would come around and Pat and I would look at each other and be like, oh, like what just happened? Where did this month go? Like we actually do feel like we haven't really been with him and that kind of thing. And looking ahead, we thought this isn't how we want our family to be every holiday season. And so we started to try and think of ways to make it different, to slightly be countercultural in some ways with it.
I think those first 2 years, we realized like, you know, we were still trying to figure out what does this even look like as a family.
Exactly.
And like us just learning to be a family and all that kind of stuff. So there was just that we were on a very steep learning curve in a lot of different ways. And the busyness of Christmas definitely took hold of us in a lot of ways, for sure.
And so, you know, it took us a couple years to sort this out. I mean, we tried some different things. And the way that we did it, you know, advent calendars are always a big thing of like, there's little treats or there's chocolates. Or I mean, there is like everything you can think of with an advent calendar right now. You can pretty much get anything. And so we had the idea of like, oh, what if we did little activities on each day? Nothing big, because we knew if we made something big, it was just going to be something else that felt like busy and, you know, just added to the craziness of the season. That's not what we were trying to do.
Yeah. We didn't want to add. We wanted to really like add more of a memorable rhythm to the month, if that makes any sense, rather than feeling like we're adding extra stuff just to have extra. Like there was like a purpose and a meaning behind the things that we were doing in some ways.
Yes, exactly. So we sat down and we decided I know, you know, on the traditional advent calendar, it starts earlier than December 1st, but we just decided to keep it Advent calendar, meaning December 1st through the 25th, leading up to Christmas. And so we sat down and we came up with, Zane was very little. And so we came up, I think we started when he was like almost 3. His birthday's in February. And so that meant like, he was really close to getting the age of 3. So we thought of like, what are things that we enjoy doing with him and that he enjoys, or that are just fun little things. And we wrote down 25 of those, and we made this little, we still have it.
Yeah, we do still have it.
That thing has lasted long. We handmade this little, it took a long time, out of Matchbox, matchboxes. Made this Christmas tree and wrapped it in, like, I was into scrapbooking at the time, scrapbook paper, Christmas scrapbook paper, all this stuff. And then each little matchbox you could slide out, and inside was the activity that we were doing. And even though, Zane couldn't read that at that time and stuff, he loved opening it up each day and asking us to read of what we were going to do. And the activities were so simple. It's literally like make hot cocoa. Yeah. Watch a Christmas movie, like listen to Christmas music while you make breakfast, like those kinds of things. We just wanted to make it simple. If it was anything that involved us going out, it was also simple, like go to a bookstore and like grab a book and a warm drink. Like, again, nothing that took like all this effort or something, because we recognized, again, we were trying to create what we wanted and what we desired for our family was to create simple moments that involved us being together.
Yep.
But then also did not create work for us, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was almost more just we wanted to create these moments that we were together, spending time together, and being really intentional with one another in those moments.
And we also knew that we could invite others into it if we wanted to. And so, sometimes, as this has progressed and we've tried some different things, and we've kind of really came into like the activities we really look forward to, there are certainly ones that were like when pre-COVID times when you could always invite people over and you'd have to think through all of that. We would invite people over, like, hey, we picked, this morning we drew out like to make popcorn and watch a Christmas movie. You guys want to come over and watch with us, and those kind of things. And so it really just kind of transformed, and we tested some things out. We did realize there were some activities that we had put on there, and then it was actually a lot of work. And we were like, oh yeah, that's not going to work, because you're still going to have some other things going on, but it's being intentional with that. And so then, we added children to our family, and it progressed, and it is now something, as our kids are now older, they still are like, when's the Advent calendar get to come out? And they're super excited about it. I don't remember when it was that we realized there was a slight missing piece in all of it, because we were doing these activities and everything.
Yeah.
I can't remember when it was that we came to the fact that we were like, ooh, we probably should be like actually reminding our kids and ourselves, to be frank, like what the season's about. And so then we added in Bible verses to look at each day.
Yeah. Yeah, which was really great. So I can't remember if you'd figured out, the lineage of the Christmas story. Like that was the biggest thing that we wanted to make sure.
There's something called like the Joshua tree. I could be getting that wrong. And it kind of lays out the Christmas story
so
for
we wanted
each
to
day
kind
of
of
the month.
follow those stories, and follow those different verses. And so we every morning then we added, we would read a Bible, one of the stories each day that, progressively with the story of Christmas within the Bible, like it would tell that story chronologically. And so that last day, obviously, we would get to the birth of Jesus and all that kind of stuff, which was really, really fun. And so that, again, added that extra element of us really kind of setting a tone with our kids of why are we doing this? What is this month about? What is that Christmas day about? Like that kind of thing, rather than, getting presents all the time and things like that. And so, and because that was important for us as a family, like I really wanted to set that rhythm of what is this season really about and things like that. And so, so it was really fun to add those. Again, it was something that we knew we didn't want to add a complexity to it, but it just was something very simple that we would read it together. And then, if conversation came out of it, then great. If it didn't, it was okay. But again, we wanted to create that rhythm that we were telling and going through the Bible with the Christmas story.
And again, it's not when you say
during day.
when you say simple, it was simple that like the Bible, you're not reading like 4 chapters.
No, yeah,
and it's very simple,
like
and that kind of thing.
A couple verses at the most,
Sometimes it's a bit longer, but not much. It's digestible, basically. It's easy to read within 5 minutes and have a quick chat. If your kids are, I mean, frankly, sometimes we read it and the kids are like, "Yeah, I already heard that. I know that." Well,
like at this point, we
get that a lot. Like, oh yeah, and then this happens and this happens. We're like, just listen.
Yeah,
like something new might hit you with it, and that kind of thing. Or we'll discuss something new of like, what size do you think the donkey was? Or like, I mean, all those kind of like funny things. And so we added that in too. So then our little pieces of paper then had like an activity, and then a second piece of paper was put in there with the Bible passage that we were reading that day. And then the kids, now that everyone's pretty much reading, like sometimes we were like, okay, Jude, do you want to read it? Or that kind of thing. And we did it just over breakfast, just how we did it. You could do it over dinner or however you want to like put that into your day, is a really good thing to do. So, and we would just take pictures and we would post on social media about like, here's some things we're doing and that kind of stuff. Cause I always love documenting it, over the years.
And I think initially too, we would like share with friends of like, oh, this is what we're doing. Or again, like when we would invite friends into it, they're like, actually, what is this about? Like, what are you doing? And it kind of like just started, people ask like, oh, could we have some of those activities that you guys do? We'd like to do that with your family and things like that. So it was really fun it kind of organically started to spread a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And so what it ended up being then is it ended up being what we have now. And we put it together because we had so many people asking, even after we had started a business and stuff like that. People were like, what are you doing? And that kind of thing. And, oh, you guys, I mean, we had so many people say, you should put together a resource for this or some kind of product or something like that. And it took us a while to be like, I don't know. And then finally we were like, actually, that is a good idea. You should pay attention when people are asking you something that they want. Yeah. And so we put together just these little, 4x4 cards that have the Bible verse on one side, and then Pat has like illustrated and everything the activities on the other side. And we did change them up a little. I mean, I guess we took out a couple things last year because we used to have one in there that was like deliver Christmas treats to people who are working in the stores.
Yeah.
And we realized with COVID, people were most likely going to be like, no, thank you. I don't want to take that. But we changed things so that everything could be done at home or in relatively, that kind of thing. And we'll keep them that this way this year too, because there's so many unknowns now. But it still very much involves like you can invite other people into that if you are in a place that you'll be able to do that during Christmas in December. But so there it's and I think the thing that some people are like, oh, again, it's not adding something to your busyness of that season. It's forcing you in many ways to stop. I mean, yes, when you watch a movie, that's going to be a couple of hours, but making a hot cup of cocoa and sitting there and having a chat, like you could do that in 30 minutes, but you've taken that small intentional time with your family. And I mean, when I say family, we have plenty of couples who don't have kids or roommates, like housemates who have gotten the cards too. And they do the things like we had a couple people tag us last year and they're just adults living in their house and they built a fort and watched a movie in it. I'm like, I love that. Yeah. It's so awesome. So you don't have to have a family to have these. Some of them might say something like, everyone in the house pick your favorite meal or favorite thing, and you make a big meal that has all those different things. And I think for me, the way that I've made it over the years have learned so that it doesn't feel like, oh no, we don't have those things in our house or that kind of thing. I just remind myself and I read through all of them as December starts. And so, I make sure we have the hot cocoa stuff in our house. So it's just at the ready when we do that, because there's nothing more, I mean, for those of you who have children, to pull that out and then be like, oh, actually, I don't have the hot cocoa stuff. I need to go to the store and I'm not sure I'm going to have time to do that today. And yes, they can be patient and wait. But, and so that's one thing. But sometimes we have had to push things off a little bit.
I was going to say like that, I think the other thing that, with this that we've realized over the years that, if there is a busy day, because there are going to be busy days in December and, you pull something out and it feels a little bit more, in depth of something to do that might not quite fit into it. It's okay to push it or to stack a couple of the activities. You can still read the Bible verse and you can still do that. But, when we do that, we still read the Bible verse that day and stuff like that. But but there might be a couple of them that we stack together activity wise. Like, if we know we have a free Saturday, we might stack a couple of the activities in that day, which is fine, which is great. Like, I guess the other thing is I hope that we don't want you to feel like, again, this is adding more pressure to the month. It's you kind of do it the way you can do it, and what works best for your family. And these are just like more of like guiding in a sense, and things like that, which has happened. And what's been cool is just to know that families and housemates and all that kind of stuff, like there are people all over the world doing this, which is really cool. Like, since we've created it into this product, there are people that are doing this everywhere, and our hope, right, is that there are really lasting memories and things that are happening within homes, and that the idea of what the season is about is coming through, rather than some other things. So
yeah, I mean, one great example of like postponing things is often we will there's like a sleepover by the Christmas tree, and like that's just not going to happen on a school night for our family, and so we're like, great, that's what we're doing this weekend. So that's a great example of like, it doesn't mean like, oh, and the kids are like, great, and they go, and when instead our time together might be like, what should we like? Do we want to watch a movie while we have our sleepover? How do we want to do this, and that kind of thing. And so we use that time of like planning for it kind of instead of. So yeah, it's not, again, there are things that you can easily move around and that kind of thing. We do, like you said, that we do try to still read the Bible verse that day, and keep up with that. I think
what's fun too is like, they're not like age specific.
No.
Like, a lot of the activities and things that you're going to do on these cards are not necessarily age specific. So again, we have everywhere. We have a 14-year-old all the way down to a 7-year-old. So the way we do those activities and stuff, like, our 14-year-old loves to do them as well as our 7-year-old. So I think it's, we try to create things and activities that everyone's going to be on board with. And
that's been the case. We started this. We just said we started this when we had a kid who was almost 3, and then obviously we've added our children on and stuff like that. And so even when you have, there was a point where Zane was on the verge of we had literally had a newborn, and Zane was close to getting 4, and we just took Jude with us. Clearly, he didn't do anything. Or he was laying on the floor while we were doing a fort or things like that. So we've made it so it's flexible, and we did that because through the years we learned, oh, now we have a newborn. Like, what does this mean, and that kind of thing. Or now, and I think that's what we have learned. Now we have somebody who's a teenager, and our kids are a little bit older, and so they're not really like, they are kid friendly and they're adult friendly. And that is just because we did it so many years that then we started to learn some things, and we're like, oh, these are actually things we really enjoy too. And I love that over the years, and we've made it so the cards are something you can keep and you have every year, and so then it starts to be a tradition that everyone looks forward to. Which is something that has been great, because our kids are like, ooh, we're getting the advent calendar out, and like, they
so
fight
excited
over who gets to be the person that looks at the card and reads it in the morning. And then, we get to a certain point, like, oh, we haven't done this one yet. Like, they remember which ones each year, and they each have their favorite thing that they want to do, and that kind of thing. And so it just is becoming a wonderful tradition. It's been great since we've offered this to other people too, to like hear now
the stories and stuff,
like the stories and the traditions that they've started with,
and
it
seeing
too.
people post like as they're doing things and stuff like that. It's so much fun. I'm gonna throw a wild card at you, Maya. What is your favorite activity?
Well, there is one that we do. There is one on there. You could involve the kids with this, but we have chosen for it to be. So this is horrible. I've just said it's about spending time with your family. I'm going to bring up this one, but I do really like it. So there is one that says, I can't remember the exact wording of it, but it is about having like a candlelit dinner by the Christmas tree. You can do that with kids, 100%. And I think last year our kids were upset. And so we said, you get to have a candlelit dinner by the Christmas tree. And so I think we made them pizzas or something. And then mommy and daddy get to have a candlelit dinner by the Christmas tree without you after you're in bed. And so that is one of my favorites because we usually put on like Christmas music in the background. We light some candles and have a nicer dinner. And then the kids enjoyed it too because they were like, ooh, candles. And we turn off all the lights and it's just the Christmas tree lit up and stuff like that. And again, You don't have to make it complicated. Like I just said, we fed the kids pizza and they got to have their own little romantic dinner.
I think we got them like sparkling
apple juice or something
yeah.
to make it seem, and then we were
Fancy.
like off to bed. Yeah. Now it's mommy, daddy's turn. Yeah. So you could do it with, or if you have housemates or something, you can make it fun and do it like that. If you have we have a fireplace, but it's not a working fireplace. And so if you have a fireplace, light the fire, things like that. So that is one of my favorites that we've done from the very beginning. And you can include the kids or not. We just choose. But that shows an example. If you need some time, if you're parents and you need some time with the two of you, there are ways that you can take the activity and split it and be like, okay, here's the kid-friendly version. And then we're going to do something a little bit later. And so that's one of the ones that we've taken as like the two of us need time together during that too.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your favorite?
My favorite is making a big breakfast and listening to Christmas music. That's one of my favorites because normally we will get out the vinyl record, the Beach Boys Christmas, and I'll put that on. And then I love making breakfast food. And so like usually, I think ours is usually waffles. I usually make my homemade waffles and things like that. But it's just that is something that everyone looks forward to. And like, it just is fun. Everybody's in their PJs and we're just having fun and getting in the spirit. And again, trying to make sure that everybody's a part of it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we usually give the kids a job like, grab the plates or put the stuff out, or now they can chop up strawberries or whatever it may be.
That one, and then that morning too, we go a little bit overboard and think of different toppings for the waffles and stuff that we, on a normal weekend, we might not do that kind of stuff and things like that. So
we get a bit indulgent.
Yeah. So I think it's just that one I always look forward to for sure. And then the other one, I'm going to add another one too, is making the Christmas cookies.
Yes.
And because we usually invite others into that. That's usually one of my favorite ones as well. There's one that I think, I don't know if it says put Christmas music on, but we usually put Christmas music on and we make an ice Christmas cookies for people.
Well, and here's the thing with that too. I know somebody last year, they were like, I don't bake. I'm not baking. So they just went and bought plain sugar cookies at the store and then they bought icing and they decorated it. Do your thing. Like that is totally same thing. Like kids will still love that because they get to lick and eat the icing, or housemates or whatever, so it doesn't, again, if you're like, I don't feel like baking something from scratch, like go buy the sugar cookie dough or whatever it may be, or already made, or, those kind of things are easy ways of getting around. One really simple activity that our kids absolutely love. I will say it's proven to be a bit more difficult in the UK, but is chocolate dipped candy canes. So we love ourselves some peppermint in our house. And literally all you do is you take the candy canes and you dip them. We literally melt chocolate chips. Yeah. You dip them and you take, our kids like to get as much chocolate as they possibly can on them, but I like it when it's like the little loop part hook. Yeah. Well, that's what it is, not a loop. It's a hook. The hook. Part, and a little bit more covered in chocolate, and then you just set it on some wax paper or parchment paper and let it dry, and then it's really tasty. I say that because just candy canes are different here. They're more like, I don't know how to describe them. They're just different.
They're not candy canes.
They're not quite as good. So
in my opinion, they're not candy canes.
We always end up trying to like go to the American grocery store and finding very expensive candy canes, but whatever. We make it work. If you don't like candy canes, dip something in chocolate. Find something that a pretzel dipped in chocolate or something. Like, oh, that's actually yum. That sounds good. But there are different ways that you can do things. But that is funnily, there's lots of other different kinds of activities, but our kids always like, oh, we haven't had the candy canes yet. And they love that.
True. That one for some reason is a one that they look forward to all the time.
I think last year we went even overboard and they could like put sprinkles on the top of the chocolate and stuff. So not all of them are food related. I realize we've picked
That's true. We did
3 that are food related, but yes, there are different activities and stuff that are just
I was going to say another one about like, nope, that involves food as well.
Not all of them involve food. A lot of them are just doing things and stuff. But yeah, so we just thought we'd share that is one way as you're looking ahead to Christmas season and thinking about it and stuff. That's a way that we, and as a family, we stop. We have time together. It doesn't mean that like, yes, other things are going on and stuff like that. It does force us to say no to some things too.
Yeah.
which has been really interesting, of saying like, actually, like, we want to make sure we leave freedom in there, because we get disappointed, and of course the kids do, for like, oh, we don't have time to do that activity today. Again, that does happen, or things that doesn't make sense that day, so we move it. But it has made us be really intentional with our time during that as well. And so that is something that just, and something, this is not on the card for the 25th, but something that is another little special thing that we do, because we thought, well, some people may not want to do that, but we have a cake on Christmas morning. Now, some people I know like sing happy birthday to Jesus and stuff. We don't go to that point. We just have cake, and we read that last bit of the Bible story. And we usually like say some things we're thankful for and stuff like that. And we have totally had people sleep over, and they have had cake. We literally have cake for breakfast. And like, our kids think that is just the best thing ever, because that is not something we would ever normally do. And the way that happened
was our Jude was basically like, it's Jesus's birthday. Why do we not have a cake?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, okay. And he's like, can we have it for breakfast? And we're like, okay.
I mean, we still do feed them other stuff for breakfast, but
Sometimes.
It is usually we all have a cup of tea, and we have some cake. And then we have a lot of cake left for the rest of the day to share with others that come into our house on that day and stuff like that. But that is another kind of thing that is kind of like the grand finale of all this. We did not put it on the card, but that's just a suggestion of something that you could do. And it's... We're not allowed to make a simple cake either. It's like,
no, it has to be.
It's supposed to be a cake.
It's a proper cake.
Yeah, it's a proper cake. So that is kind of the way that we put the little finale.
Talking about all this stuff I'm getting excited already about the Advent
getting
stuff.
Excited for Christmas.
Yeah,
I know, me too, a little bit, even though it's October, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So we love. I mean, like we have said multiple times during this, we love seeing your photos and hearing your stories. I mean, people have sent us videos of them doing things. And so if you have our Advent calendars, or you grab one in the month of December, please send us that stuff. It brings us so much joy to see what you guys are doing. And like Pat said, like all over the world, what people are doing with the Advent calendars and everything. So do let us know if you have questions on stuff of like how we've made it work in our family when our kids were different ages, ideas on how people have done it when they don't have kids or they're not married or anything like that, and what they've done and that kind of thing. Like we've had several people I know who are single, and they've done this with a group of friends, and that's been really cool to see how that's brought them together and that kind of thing. So yeah, we hope that as it's available again to grab, that you guys just have fun with it, and that it really does make you stop and just be like, yeah, that's what this is supposed to be about. So yeah, cool. So that's our little, sorry, we'll try not to talk about Christmas for a little bit longer. I don't know. We will see. I can't promise that.
I was going to say, we can't promise that.
We can't promise that, but for now, we are done talking about Christmas, and we hope you have a great day.
See ya.
Does Christmas feel like a blur to you and your family most years? We found that to be true. We'd get to the new year wondering what on earth happened to the holiday cheer and the time to relax with family. So when our oldest son was young, we tried a simple daily activity during the month of December to make sure we were spending time together. We added in reading a small bit of the Christmas story from the Bible each day. The activities didn't take a ton of thought, and it made us stop in the middle of the rush to be together and remember what the season was all about. Celebrating Jesus' birth and being thankful for the people God placed in our lives. We wanted to share this simple, slow-down method with other families, so we made the Bible verse and activity Advent calendar. Each calendar comes with 25 4x4-inch prints. One side has a Bible verse to read each day, and the other side has a family activity to do together. You can pre-order your Advent calendars now. The calendars will ship out the week of November 8th to get them to you in time for December. You can send them as gifts to others as well with a personalized gift message. Head over to LaurentCollective.com to grab an Advent calendar for you or to gift it to somebody else. We hope the time together makes the Christmas season seem less like a blur and instead filled with simple, beautiful memories. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Laurent Collective podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to subscribe and leave a review, which helps others find our podcast. Continue the conversation with us over on Instagram at Laurent Collective.
We look forward to going deeper than just surface talk with you again next week.